video, we're going to demonstrate how to clean the SlimFit 550 and 750 heat exchangers. First, we'll start off by shutting off the power out of the unit in the back corner, and we will shut the gas off to the boiler. Then we'll remove the front jacket by lifting and twisting the two latches, leaning back the panel and removing it from the unit. This allows us to gain access to the inside of the boiler, the heat exchanger, and the combustion assembly. We will start off by removing the ignition cable and the igniter, just to kind of get it out of our way. And now we got the igniter, and we'll set it to the side. Then we will remove the air inlet silencer from the unit, set it to the side, and finish taking our wiring off of our gas valve, the high and low gas pressure switch, the high voltage from our blower assembly, followed by the low voltage from our blower assembly. You can simply flip these up over the boiler. And now we have a compression nut for our inlet gas. In order to keep us from spinning this, we'll put a wrench on each side of it, and then break the compression nut loose. So this leaves the blower and the gas valve and the switches hanging from the three nuts, 13mm nuts. So with a 13mm socket, we can break it loose at the top, break it loose in the bottom, and then the third is in the far back here, which we can break loose. With those three loose, you can support the back of the blower with your hand. Take the bottom nut off, the top nut off, and your back nut off, and pull assembly. With that out of the way, now we have the burner gasket. And our burners inside the boiler, which we can put in our hand, extend your fingers, and pull directly from the unit. Now we need to remove the cover plate and the 13mm nuts around the cover plate. And with all the nuts off, we can remove the cover plate assembly and the cover plate insulation. Now that we're open from the inside, all of our flueways on the inside are open to us, and we will use a garden hose and low flow. We don't need to overpressurize the water coming into the boiler, and we can go into where the burner was on the top of the combustion chamber, and it will flow down between the pins in the collector and out through our condensate drain. But as we're cleaning with our cleaning tool, leave the water going gently, and it will aid in the cleaning of the debris out of the heat exchanger, and it will flow down through and out the condensate drain. There's three directions we're going to want to clean the heat exchanger pins. Start off, we can clean between all the pins up at a 45-degree angle, down at a 45-degree angle, and we can go straight in. We will go up, down, and in through every set of pins on every flueway through the heat exchanger. And we have our cover plate gasket material, which you can kind of roll out with your finger and then pull out of the boiler. In our maintenance kit, We have gaskets for each side of our air plate. We have the O-ring gasket that goes in between the venturi and the bottom of the blower. We have the burner gasket, which we'll put on in a moment. And for the cover plate, you have two gaskets. The kit's designed for the 550 and 750, so you use the smaller cover plate insulation and the smaller rope for the 550, and for the 750 you can just discard which one you're not using. At this point, this plate goes on one direction, so it's easier to mark on your housing and the air plate where it's at now, so we can simply put it on later without having to struggle. So we'll remove the four 13mm nuts. All right, now we can remove the bolts and separate the adapter from the board. As you see, we're compressed compared to the gaskets before we start. At this point, kind of put them back in together. It's another way to keep everything in order, is to put it back together in the order you're taking it apart. Gasket comes off. Plates removed. Back into place. That gasket's off. Next gasket's in. And our adapter back into place. Now we'll put our lock nuts back into place here. You have to squeeze a little bit on it because this gasket is quite a bit thicker than the compressed one. We will tighten back up. Kind of want to move around the assembly here. Also need to note that our lines are back in order, so we know we're right. Now we have our O-ring, which is going to go around this flange. So we will remove. And this is the O-ring that we're going to replace. It's set into a groove on the blower. So we just simply pry that out, set it aside, grab the new one, and set into place. This is our venturi, and if you look up, you can see the small holes are where the gas comes out as the air comes through the middle. And we want to be sure that we are clean and smooth throughout the venturi. So we'll just use a rag and wipe it clean. Previous models may have used the 6mm Allen, and we have now included the 13mm hex bolts in the kits to replace them. Now we can put our burner, put our gas valve back on. Support the gas valve with one hand and start your screws with the other. Yeah, being careful not to damage the blower. We can set in the upright position and we'll work around the venturi. That puts our blower, gas valve, and air pressure switches back in position. This is our burner that we use in the SlimFit boilers. It has a rigid stainless steel core and then is wrapped by a stainless steel mesh. It doesn't look to be dirty, but you will get debris and so forth inside the mesh. Using a soft nylon bristle brush, you're going to want to brush down the burner, rotate and continue brushing until we can get all the way around. You can also use a vacuum. Now we'll begin to reassemble our heat exchanger cover plate. We'll start off using the RTV 6500 that's included in your maintenance kit. And you'll have a witness to where we were just on the top. We're just going to put a small amount. Hold the top of the cord together as we pull around the rest of the capture groove. Oops. And then we're back in. And we'll work the cord around. Now the cord's worked in. We'll then install our cover plate gasket. And our cover plate assembly. So we need to tighten to 55 inch-pounds. And we'll work our way out from the center. And now we're going to put our burner back in. If you look at the end of the burner, there's a notch. The notch is at 12 o'clock, right at the top on the flange. In the back of the burner, there's a V notch. Oops. We'll set the burner, feed it through the front, and set it right down on the V, and then into place, and it'll be resting on both ends. And we'll install the burner gasket. Now we'll put our combustion assembly back into the boiler. If you match the two holes that are most forward on the flange for the adapter, and then rock the back into place, and you can slide it right in. Put your top bolt on to retain, and add your other two bolts onto the flange. So now we have our blower back into place. We can hook our gas line. So we have one wrench below, one above to tighten the nut into place. Now we'll bring back our wiring. Starting on the top with our blower motor low voltage harness, our blower high voltage harness, our gas valve, our high and low gas pressure switch, the graphite gasket, and our igniter or ignition electrode. Put it into place, and we can put on one of our screws. Leave it a little bit loose so we can line up the top. The top's going to contain our ground wire and screw. After we tighten the top, we can return and tighten the bottom. In our kit, we still had the old suppressor on. So there was a new one comes with your maintenance kit that you can install into the end of the ignition cable, and you should hear it click into place. We can grab our Venturi air silencer, bring that into the bottom of the Venturi. And snap into place. Now that the boiler's reassembled, we're going to want to follow your manual and set the high and low fire combustions to spec.